Okay, let's go into the third question. Talking about milk supply, one of the most effective techniques for me that you told me was power pumping.
Yes.
And I think everybody should know, every breastfeeding pumping mom should know what power pumping is, because even I did it to increase my supply and then to maintain my supply. I
Yes.
did it at least once or twice a week, and I did it for a year and a half, and it just works wonderful.
Especially with working moms, if you're working and away from baby, we're going to talk about that, but adding it in throughout your journey can just help maintain like it did for you.
Yes.
Okay, so with power pumping can work a couple of ways. Commonly, what you will hear about is you pump 20 minutes, rest 10, pump 10, rest 10, pump 10. It works effectively, but it's a pretty long stretch, and you wouldn't think 10 extra minutes makes a difference. But my recommendation, what I've seen in research as well, is just as effective, is 10 minutes to start with, 10-minute break, meaning you can turn your pump off, you can leave your flanges, go do what you want to do, or just sit there and pause it. Okay. 10 minutes on, 10-minute pause, 10 minutes on, 10-minute pause, 10 minutes on. So it's 3 10-minute pumps with 10-minute breaks. And what this does is it mimics twins, actually. If you're double pumping, it mimics twins doing a feeding, and then they pause. And then the twins are eating again, and they're pausing, and the twins are eating again. So we're tricking the body with this up and down elevation of the hormones with oxytocin and prolactin, telling the brain, oh my goodness, look how much baby's eating. We need to stimulate and get the production, increase that rate per hour based on the demand. So with this in mind, it is very important we're fueling the body as we add in this demand. Some moms are like, well, I'm power pumping, but not getting. I'm like, how are you doing eating? And they're like, oh gosh, like we just talked about, is very important on the calorie side of the fueling the body for this demand. Yes. Now, with power pumping, you may not see an effect that first day, just like Angelica. It took a couple of days to see an increase on the milk production. So anything we do in regard to increasing supply, let's say pumping just after breastfeeding for 10 minutes as an option, or the power pump once a day is typical in place of a breastfeeding or pumping session. We just do one a day, but 2 a day. Some moms do a morning one on their way to work and on their way home from work, and they just do their power pumps in a position where you just off and on it. And so if they really see a good effect from it, which usually they do, so 1 or 2 a day, but that additional stimulation takes 2 to 3 days to increase. So hang in there if you don't see an immediate effect on production, but it is very helpful. Anything else right now, Angelica, you want to add to that? And I have one other thing I can include with power pumping.
I have a quick question about power pumping. I remember I would do, what about 5 minutes? Is that effective enough? I would do 5 minutes and then 5 minutes,
Right?
5 minutes, 5
Great
minutes.
question. Great question. So if you are more of a single pumper and it's just what works for you, and you don't, because we still want the 10-minute window, that is exactly what you do. 5 minutes, 5 minutes, rest 10, 5, 5, rest 10, 5, 5. So that is.
Oh, you can do 10, 10, 10, 10.
Yeah. Yeah. Just watch that on your timing.
Yeah.
I had a mom who was doing 10, 10, resting 10, ended up being an hour and 40 minutes. We're like, oh, okay, let's
Yeah.
Not every mom has an hour and 40 minutes.
True.
The option is, let's say you're a breastfeeding mom and you're not really replacing a breastfeeding with pumping. Let's just say you're a breastfeeding mom and you want to boost your supply. What you can do is feed baby, pass baby off to partner. Then in that time you rest 10 minutes. Pump 10, rest 10, pump 10. So we just do 2 10-minute pumps with breaks after breastfeeding. And we're doing it close enough to the feeding that your body should have time to replenish for the next feeding. That's the other thing with making sure we kind of do it all together so that your body can replenish and you have a refill for the next feeding or pumping. So I have seen that effective, that moms, they're like, well, I don't want to really replace a whole breastfeeding. They can go ahead and feed and then just do 2 10-minute pumps.
That sounds great. That's awesome. That's going to be so helpful. I have a particular friend who's going to love this right now because she's struggling with it. And I was trying to explain her how to do the power pumping and how effective it is. So I got to check on her, see how she's doing.
Yes. And then with pumping settings, I did want to mention with power pumping, you can go ahead and start with your stimulation mode where it's faster speed for 2 minutes. And then for 8 minutes, do your expression mode with the slower cycle speed.
Got it.
Always adjust your vacuum strong enough to work, but not hurt. But thoughts on that. Some moms are kind of a little confused on the settings, but you can also do what's working for you. Angelica, you might have noticed in your journey, in the beginning, I needed more stimulation in this way to have a letdown. In the end, I was very responsive, and it was just go straight to expression mode.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Always do what works for you and what makes you feel more comfortable, because
Right.
you don't want to get hurt. Yeah.
Well, and your body's response to the pump. Everyone's a little different on that. And that's why there's the customization of cycle settings as well as the suction, the vacuum, because we want it to fit you and your body's response to that.
I never used that much power. I
Yeah.
used like halfway because it was too much for me. So I was always halfway on my pumping settings, and that was enough. Yeah.
We do not want the pump to hurt you. That increases the stress hormone cortisol, and then the body, it can inhibit the oxytocin letdown. So don't think of like pumping as a straw. If I suction more, I'll get more. It's about stimulation and your
Yes.
body's response to enough vacuum to work, but not hurt.
Awesome.